then skipped finals altogether, ultimately pulling home C's in every class. Free's parents, when this was first brought to their attention, had declared that they respected their daughter's individuality and right to make her own decisions. Cady, needless to say, did not. Our property backed up to the Morrows, and Free had spent as much time at our place growing up as she had at her own. Cady didn't treat her any differently than she treated Jude and me, and that meant that she and Free had their share of fundamental disagreements. "You could just ask the teachers to let you take makeup tests," I pointed out. "Then you wouldn't need to ask me whether or not Cady was selling pad to an Army search and rescue unit. You could ask her yourself." Free did not dignify that comment with a response. Instead, she nodded her head toward Jude. "It appears our boy has drawn the attention of some unsavory types." It took me 2 seconds to analyze the situation. Jude was standing in the midst of 3 very large, very angry townies, and being Jude, he appeared to be challenging them to a dance-off. I pushed off the truck and headed for trouble. Free followed at a lazy pace. "I assure you, gentlemen, proving yourselves to be better dancers than me would stick it to me far worse than any act of physical violence possibly could." My foster brother offered his would-be assailants a conspiratorial smile. "I'm not saying that I'm the second coming of Fred Astaire, but I'm also not denying it." One of the townies reached for Jude. I got there first, stepping between them. The townie, 21 or 22, too old to be at a high school party and too stupid to know it, barely managed to stop himself from ramming his knuckles into my face. Jude was a head and a half taller than me, 6'2" to my 5' nothing. He was gangly. I was small and dangerous. "Well, well, well," the townie said, looking back at his friends, bleary-eyed and clearly amused. "What do we have here?" I said nothing, but I could feel a familiar emotion unwinding inside of me. An old friend come out to play. These idiot boys didn't know what it was like to fight tooth and nail for survival. They didn't know what happened when you cornered an animal in its lair. They didn't know that the biggest dog wasn't always the one in charge. "Man," one of the other townies said, laughing. "I'd watch out for this one, Dave. She has the crazy eyes." I didn't move, didn't stop staring at the lot of them, didn't so much as blink. All around us, the other partygoers began to realize what was going on. If Jude's assailants had been a few years younger, they might have realized too. I had a bit of a reputation. "Gentlemen," Jude said behind me, "this is what is known as a situation. I would suggest that you take a step or two back, and then I can assure you with an entirely moderate degree of accuracy that this will probably not get ugly." The party had gone completely silent, except for the music and the distant sound of the river down below. We were maybe 10 feet from the edge of the ridge, 100 feet above the river, 9.6 miles as the crow flew away from the ravine where Cady had found me 11 years before. "And if we don't step back?" one of the boys taunted. My upper lip wanted to pull back. Only years of social conditioning let me push down the urge to growl. "Seriously," one of the townies said to Jude, a note of nervousness creeping into his tone at the expression on my face. "What's wrong with her?" "Nothing's wrong with Kira," Jude said cheerfully. "I mean, who among us doesn't have anger management issues and difficulty socializing in the human world? Am I right?" He laid his hand on my shoulder, a warm and steady weight. Familiar. Home. And just like that, I was 5 years old again, and 6, and 7, and Jude was the one person in this world that I trusted.